Welcome to A Healthy Bite. You're one nibble closer to a more satisfying way of life, a healthier you, and bite-sized bits of healthy motivation. Now let's dig in on the dish with Rebecca Huff.
Hey, it's Rebecca, and today we are here with Mariah Flaherty, and we are talking about her second book, which is the I Love My Instant Pot Anti-Inflammatory Diet Recipe book. And this is your second book. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started writing these recipes, and your website?
Okay, sure. So I have had my blog, Happy Healthy Mama, for almost 10 years now. But it kind of dates back to my healthy living journey, where it all got started when my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And it was stage 4 lung cancer that had metastasized to her brain. And at that point in my life, when I thought of healthy living or healthy eating, to me, it was more about maintaining my weight or staying fit, but I didn't think of it from a disease standpoint or health and longevity at all. I was in my 20s and it just wasn't on my radar. But when she was diagnosed with cancer, it was such a helpless feeling, and the doctors really didn't give us much help, nor did they give us any guidance when it came to nutrition or how she should be eating for health. And so for me, the only thing that I knew how to do that I felt like I could control was to really dive into studying and learning about nutrition and how it can have such a profound impact on our health. And my eyes were opened, and that kind of, changed the trajectory of my life and got me started on my journey. Since then, it's been, a long journey, lots of learning. And I started my website just as a way to share what I was learning and help inspire others and see that we do have some things in our lives, some diet and lifestyle choices that we can control. There's so much we can't control, but there are things we can do to have a positive impact on our health. So the cookbooks, it was kind of a natural transition to, I share a lot on my website, but to be able to put some things into a cookbook form that people could, hold on and touch and have at their house was kind of a natural transition that way.
And your first cookbook, or your first book, is?
It is called Anti-Inflammatory Drinks for Health. So it focuses on juices and smoothies and other drinks that you can incorporate anti-inflammatory ingredients.
Okay. And then this book you wrote about. Everyone loves an Instant Pot. And I have to say, I was late to the game getting an Instant Pot, but once I did, I was like, why didn't I get an Instant Pot sooner? It's so
Same.
fast and convenient. I can't get over it. But yeah, so you decided to write this cookbook with anti-inflammatory recipes.
Yeah.
And so is that mainly what Happy Healthy Mama has on there, is anti-inflammatory? Or do you have other types of recipes?
I have other types of recipes as well. All of my recipes I would not classify as anti-inflammatory, but that was the focus of both of the books.
Okay. And I'm sure you have some kind of designation on your recipes there.
Yes.
Okay. Well, when I got your book, because, I was like, oh my goodness, an Instant Pot book. I'm so excited. And anti-inflammatory is great because I have some chronic illness that I've been dealing with for years. So I was really excited. The first thing I made in your book was the Asian chopped kale salad. I tried to mark all of the recipes in here, but I'm going to share the pictures. I think this is it. This is your picture. And I'm going to share my picture, what mine looked like when I came in, because the sauce that you make that goes on this, when I took some to my son, he lives in a separate apartment. And when I came back, my whole apartment smelled like Asian. It smelled so good.
I love that.
That was the best recipe that I've tried so far, but I tried the lemony salmon and asparagus, which I love because salmon and lemon are both two of my favorite things. The broccoli sesame bites were amazing. And of course, the sweet potato hummus, I thought it was so scrumptious. I was like, okay, this has carbs. You have to stop. Keep eating it. So I have a problem sometimes eating healthy foods like too much. You still have to follow the quantity recommendations. But so
Portion control.
to switch away from the tasty recipes a little bit to why we're talking about anti-inflammatory. So we hear a lot of people talking about inflammation or an
Mhm.
anti-inflammatory protocol or whatever. So what exactly do we mean when we're talking about anti-inflammatory things, or why would we want to avoid things with inflammation, those types of
Mhm.
foods?
So when we talk about inflammation, that is a perfectly natural response for our body to have when there's an invader, right? So
Mhm.
if you have an infection or you have a cut or whatever it might be, your body's going to signal to have that inflammatory response, which is totally natural and healthy for your body to stay well. However, the problem comes in when we make our food and lifestyle choices that are constantly signaling our body to be in that inflammatory state. And if your body is constantly having that inflammatory state, chronic inflammation, um, it's like always fighting. And that's when issues can come in. And so, so much research in the last decade has come out just linking chronic inflammation to so many illnesses. So it's whether you're, battling a chronic illness now or you're healthy but want to avoid something, the anti-inflammatory diet is really for everybody. It's just about choosing foods that are going to help your body have a healthy inflammatory response and just avoiding those foods that have been shown to be inflammatory for most people.
So everyone has a certain amount of inflammation that's healthy, but it's just when chronic inflammation causes these problems.
Right. We don't
Okay,
want it all the time.
right. So if someone they don't have a chronic illness and they just want to make sure that they live a long, healthy life, how frequently would you recommend for someone who's, a fairly healthy individual to incorporate anti-inflammatory recipes into their lifestyle?
I think that it's a lifestyle that everybody can embrace, and it's just to different degrees. So, as far as the anti inflammatory foods, I think that everybody should try to incorporate those into their diet every day.
Hmm.
It's just really balanced approach. You're eating a lot of vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. So, it's really a balanced approach. As far as avoiding the inflammatory foods, I think some people are going to be okay with, very moderately having them in their life. Those people who do have an autoimmune disease or a chronic illness that they're dealing with, they're going to want to be more strict and avoid them altogether.
That makes sense. So, what are some of these foods that actually increase inflammation? So, could you just list maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 foods
Sure.
that are really bad for inflammation?
Sure. Well, I'll just give you a few of like the groups. So, I mean, sugars, that's, a big one.
Hmm.
Um, so sugar is very inflammatory, and dairy can be very inflammatory for most people, and gluten, and foods with unhealthy trans fats or fried foods. So those types of things.
Some of the things, yes, I'm very much anti-sugar person. My friends and family probably get tired of hearing me talk about the evil sugar, but hey, we all have our things we advocate for, right?
Absolutely.
So what about the best foods for fighting inflammation? Like if you were going to go to the supermarket and you just wanted to incorporate 5 fantastic foods for fighting inflammation, what would you put on your grocery list?
So on my grocery list, first of all, I would really look for having a wide variety of colors. So you're going to be in the produce aisle, right? So the foods that have really deep pigments like berries and so strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, those are really great. And some of the like fresh ginger has really strong turmeric, and fish. So a lot of different fish, salmon and fatty fish that have those omega-3s. Those are great for anti-inflammatory.
Okay, good. So you mentioned fish. So salmon is okay. Now I know there's a lot of like, good and bad when it comes to fish. How do we make sure we are choosing the best fish?
That can be very tricky. You want to look for wild caught, and the the thing that can be tricky is that there's a lot of mercury out there. And so you really just have to educate yourself on where the source is. So that's the most important thing.
Okay. All right, good. And then, so as far as how we prepare these foods, I mean, obviously, not everything is going to be prepared in an Instant Pot, but a lot, or maybe are all of the recipes in this, every single one?
Every recipe has some component that is cooked in the Instant Pot.
Instant Pot.
Some of
Okay,
them.
so right. So what made you choose an Instant Pot? Just is it the convenience or?
So for me, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is showing people that eating healthy can be easy and convenient and delicious. So both of those things. When I first started, it was a little overwhelming for me. I was spending so much time in the kitchen trying to figure out how to prepare healthy foods, fresh foods. And I know a lot of people, if they get to that point, they might just give up because it's so time consuming when you don't know the easier ways.
Mm-hmm.
So the Instant Pot for me just really gives people a way to make quick and easy meals that are convenient.
It's definitely so much faster. I mean, whenever I cook things that used to, I would cook in the crock pot. I'm amazed. For example, beans. We love pinto beans, and so I was like, wow, I cannot believe how fast you can make pinto beans in an Instant Pot. It's crazy.
It is incredible.
And I
Yes.
had never used an actual pressure cooker before because I
Mhm.
was always scared. You know,
Right. Well, you
using
hear all the stories, right, about
right,
or not Instant Pots, but the old-fashioned pressure cookers on the
right,
stove blowing up, and so yeah, it can be intimidating. But once I
yes.
finally tried it, I was just so like the intimidation factor doesn't need to be there.
Me too, because I remember, as a child, my mom would use her pressure cooker on the stove and the little thing on the top. I can't even remember what that's called, but it
Mhm.
would be jiggling and steam. And mom would
Yes.
be like, stay away from that. Don't get near that. And I was like, oh, I never want to use one of those. And
Right.
so I did hesitate for a while before I got an Instant Pot, but it's totally different. It's so much
Right.
safer,
Mhm.
easier. Anyone can use it. And so I think it's really the best invention ever.
I
So
agree.
I've really enjoyed using mine. So you included some dessert recipes in the cookbook, and I wasn't able to. I don't have the pan that fits into my pot yet. So
Okay.
I really am wanting to try the apple cinnamon bundt cake. That's on my list of things to try.
Yeah.
But I did have the mason jars, the little
Yeah.
small mason jars. So I was able to make the blueberry almond mason jar cakes, and they are so cute. That
Isn't
was
that
so
fun?
fun.
Yeah.
I hadn't tried doing anything where you put,
The popping.
other
Yeah.
equipment in there. I was
Mhm.
kind of scared. I was like, are these little jars going to explode inside my Instant Pot? But they didn't, and it was delicious.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was fun. It's different.
Yeah. So you can get all kinds of other, components to the,
Accessories. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, there are different layers of, you can do like 3 pots in one if you wanted to do like 3 different components of your meal. There are just so many different accessories that make it really fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And I thought that recipe in particular was really pretty and it was fun. My kids enjoyed eating,
Oh, good.
this dessert out of these little jars. I wanted to talk a little bit more about how chronic inflammation is a health risk and how it can just really turn our body into like just chronic pain, and we can have all of
Mhm.
these issues. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, right? We can prevent and reduce all of these. So what would you say for someone who maybe they have an undiagnosed chronic illness? Do you think, because you went through this with your mom when she had cancer, can we use foods to prevent these things from going downhill so fast?
Absolutely. When I first discovered the anti-inflammatory diet, I actually was having really bad finger pain. And I had no idea what it was. So I started researching and I kind of came across the anti-inflammatory diet. So I went on a really strict anti-inflammatory diet for a period of time just to see if I would notice any different. And it was remarkable the amount of pain reduction that I had in that time period. And that to me just was incredible. So it just shows that, yes, you can absolutely heal your body and prevent illnesses or pain and illness with your body through food. I think food is one of the most powerful medicines on the planet.
It is. I mean, I completely agree. I think it's strange sometimes when people are like, oh, it's the, changing your diet doesn't help. That doesn't do anything. Actually, I've had relatives who have went through this where they had cancer. My sister was one, and unfortunately, she did not change her diet. She continued to just eat the way that she did. And maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but it's heartbreaking, to be in that position. For example, if you had been, with your mom and she's like, oh no, I'm not going to change my diet. It's very heartbreaking to see that happen. And so I've just made it my mission. I was a health freak before my sister got sick. And I think if anything, it's just inspired me to even be more of an advocate for healthy foods and, just living a healthy lifestyle. So I'm completely on board with your anti-inflammatory diet recipe book. And I so much appreciate you coming on here. Can you tell everyone, the listeners, where they can find you and kind of what all you do there on your website?
Yes. So my blog is Happy Healthy Mama, and I update it with new recipes and healthy lifestyle tips every week. And I'm also on social media. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Happy Healthy Mama is my handle there.
Okay, perfect. I'll make sure I put the links in the show notes so people can find you easier. Thank you so much for being on A Healthy Bite. I have really enjoyed talking to you, and I know that this is going to be one of my favorite cookbooks. I actually have all these little bookmarks of the pages that I'm still planning to try. So,
oh, good.
Thank you so much
for having me.
Thanks for listening. Please rate and review so other people can learn about this podcast. Find out more about sleep, hygiene, eating healthy, tasty recipes, zero-waste lifestyle, and lots more on thatorganicmom.com. Help us spread the word. Be blessed and stay healthy.